With Thanksgiving weekend having just passed and Black Friday and Cyber Monday now out of the way, it's quite likely that a lot of us are either on a massive high from buying a brand new variable speed cordless leaf blower, or seething that our brand new desktop RAID drives were further reduced by £150 after only just buying them. Chances are that you're either feeling absolutely fantastic or a little bit stupid. Either way, buyer's remorse is a real thing, and whether you feel it now or later, we can't deny the fact that we're often lured into the trap of thinking that we're saving money whenever we buy something on sale, when in fact the sad reality is that we lose more than just money every time we buy something that we don't really need. So I'm guessing buyer's remorse is something we've all probably experienced, and something I've definitely suffered from multiple times in the past. I remember back when I was a clueless university student, I purchased a jacket on sale that I didn't really need from Zara, only to find it on sale for even less the following week. I also remember the time that I thought for some reason it would be a good idea to buy myself a brand new Hugo Boss leather jacket as well, because everyone says that a leather jacket lasts your whole life. Yeah. Regardless of how much money and time I ended up wasting, the point is that buyer's remorse sucks. So why do we feel like this, and how do we go about avoiding it? During almost every other time of year, most of our purchase decisions start with a need that is quite obviously placed at the forefront of our minds. The light bulb that's gone out, the shoes that are developing holes, or the laptop that's getting too slow. Sometimes these things genuinely need replacing. But these days, with the internet, we're subconsciously lured into marketing traps every single day, through social media, TV shows, and even online articles, which often highlight problems that we didn't even know needed fixing. Why do I need to waste my energy raking leaves from my lawn when I can purchase a leaf blower on sale? Or even, why deal with the frustration of awkward pan handles when you can now get pans with detachable handles? None of us are immune to upgrading things that simply didn't need upgrading in the first place. However, sometimes things do need replacing, and with the unbearable amounts of choice online, it might be arrogant of us to think that we are not helped by a nudge in the right direction. But how do we know what's the right direction, and when is the right time to even be taking it? I've been quite conflicted as a content creator lately, as many of you will know that I've partnered with some awesome brands, some of them making the products that quite drastically change the way I live. So of course, I'm happy to recommend them, but did I need them? Probably not. I could have quite easily survived without them, but I'm curious as to how we even define the word need in this context. If we only ever bought what we needed, we'd all be sitting on pillows, eating raw vegetables on our studio apartment floors. So where do we draw the line? I've talked about hedonic adaptation and lifestyle inflation on this channel before, and I've come to the conclusion that in some way or other, many of us have adapted to a life of ease. We now just see a problem, we click, we buy, our life gets marginally better, we adapt, and then we repeat the whole process all over again. This way of living becomes a serious problem to our livelihood when we keep trying to fix so-called problems which aren't actually things that needed solutions in the first place. And all this process does is drive us into more debt, gives us buyer's remorse, and even causes us ill health, which we could have otherwise avoided if we didn't attempt to find solutions to so-called problems that didn't even need the fixing in the first place. I went over why our upgrades often make us more miserable in a previous video, and why dopamine incentivized purchases hold us back by inadvertently stealing away our time, which often hinders us from being free to do what we really want to and achieving self-actualization. However, it would be ignorant to not admit that sometimes our upgrades can actually help propel us forward. So the key factor is knowing the difference, which is hard because it's never the same for any given situation because of the many variables involved in each of our personal circumstances. You may recall how I talked about needing to upgrade my camera half a year ago now, and after holding out for what seemed like an absolute eternity, this past week it finally happened. I finally received my pre-ordered Sony a7S III, which supposedly doesn't overheat and actually has usable autofocus, so I'm actually going to be in focus for once. And in theory, if I don't screw things up, things should start looking a whole lot better. However, even though I only pre-ordered the Sony a7S III not that long ago, there's already been the release of the Sony a7C, Canon C70, and talk about the upcoming Sony a7 IV. So as you can imagine, the grass is only going to be green for so long, and it's always going to be greener somewhere else, because there's always something better value or new and improved just around the corner. So to cut to the chase, in avoiding buyer's remorse, I've concluded that there are only really 3 things that I find to be helpful in avoiding mistakes and feeling content with my decisions. Let it brew. Not getting sucked into buying things that we don't need is a good first step, so by practicing a 2 or even 4-week rule of quarantining an item to your shopping basket can allow you the time to understand why you really want this thing in the first place. And it helps in testing yourself to see how much you're actually missing out on by not having this item in your life. After putting it to one side, if you still find yourself thinking about it a lot, you'll probably feel comfortable enough to finally take the plunge. And this habit saves you from the trap of impulse buying and limited time only sales. Consider fulfillment. Second, I like to carefully consider if the item is actually going to help in bringing me lasting fulfillment instead of fleeting happiness. If you're already someone who knows about the effects of dopamine and hedonic adaptation, you'll understand that retail therapy tricks us into thinking that we're happy, whilst in reality remaining poorer and unfulfilled. So figuring out whether or not any given purchase is going to significantly contribute towards your success is another way to ensure that you don't end up with buyer's remorse. This answers our question regarding need, because if we simply ask the question, do I need this thing? The answer is always going to be no, because we can always live much simpler lives than we currently do. But by asking the question, will this item help in making me feel more fulfilled? Or will this item contribute to adding more meaning to my life? We can probably have a better and more realistic way of looking at things. Is it good enough? Finally, just seeking to be satisfied with good enough has been a massive help in avoiding buyer's remorse. This is something that Barry Schwartz discusses in his book, The Paradox of Choice. When buying a product, if what you already have isn't holding you back from being more fulfilled, the chances are that it's already good enough. Also, if you've just bought something, continuing to consider whether it was the best decision or not is likely to cause more of this cognitive dissonance. Also, it's been proven that the more time that we invest into our purchase decisions, the more likely we're prone to suffer from buyer's remorse. So settling for the idea of good enough can really save us from experiencing unnecessary stress. This isn't something that we're dismissing as willful ignorance, but more of an idea around practicing gratitude, ironically something that Thanksgiving should be all about, which, when practiced as a habit, is proven to have significant benefits on our mental well-being and clarity. With such a wide array of choice out there, we only tend to make ourselves more miserable by wasting our time hunting for the best deal and continually comparing our past purchase decisions against others. Often what we have or what we have recently upgraded is more than capable of getting us to where we aspire to be. So really, we have a lot to be thankful for. By practicing gratitude and learning to settle for good enough, it gives us additional time and energy to focus on our fulfillment, learning, and growth, which is much more important than ruminating about past purchase decisions or contemplating if we're missing out on the next best thing. Retiring my old camera this past week really made me reflect on how far this channel has come over the past year with a device that was never really ideal for shooting video. In hindsight, focusing solely on the journey and craft, and caring about the small details, and being willing to spend evenings and weekends doing something that I love is really what made the most difference. My new camera has a ton of features that I probably don't need, but I'm really excited to learn about and use them. And it's a purchase that will allow me to further explore the fulfillment I get from learning new things and sharing my experiences with you guys along the way, which is really what matters. But of course, no more overheating, and usable autofocus is nice as well. Also, I know there's bound to be opinions down in the comment section about the best new camera that's either better value or more capable, but really I'm just happy knowing that I'm incredibly fortunate to have one, and at the end of the day, cameras, like other things such as PCs and backpacks, are all just tools that are useful in helping us towards a bigger picture of growth and purpose. If you like this video, you might also enjoy my earlier video on why your upgrades are making you miserable, if you haven't seen it already. Also, if you're not subscribed and have made it this far, do consider it, as well as hitting the notification bell, as I do my best to upload content like this every 1 to 2 weeks, so you can feel better about yourself for not doing stupid things like me and losing out on £150 this Black Friday. Once again, thank you so much for watching and for all of your support in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.